Time is approximately 7 p.m. and June 25th, 2020. Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting will now come to order. Tonight, we are again operating on Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16/34 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Executive Order 16 concerning electronic meetings has been extended by Executive Order 34 until 11:59 p.m. Central Daylight Time on June 30th, 2020, which at that time it will expire. In accordance with Executive Order, live access to the virtual meeting is made available through Charter Channel 193 or TDS Channel 3. During this period of time, all citizen agenda or forum comments and questions, along with a name and an address, should be mailed to comments@countyfarragut.org and should have been received by 12 p.m. today in order to be included in the record of that meeting. All the Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings will be public notice per Tennessee state law. They will also be recorded and can be reviewed later on the Town of Farragut YouTube channel. Pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order, all votes taken tonight will be by roll call vote. I'll now ask the Town Recorder to take a attendance roll call for a quorum.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett here.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk here.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin is here.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams is here. And do we have any press?
Yes, sir. We have Michelle and Margie Hagan on the line as well.
Any others? Okay. Well, hopefully this will be our last virtual meeting. Next will be approval agenda, and I will now ask for a motion to approve the June 25th, 2020 agenda as stated.
Motion to approve.
For approval.
Stated.
Second.
Approve, okay. I'll now ask the Town Recorder to take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that June 25th, 2020 agenda has been approved. Okay, next will be approval of minutes. I'll ask for a motion to approve June 11th, 2020 minutes as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, now ask for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Okay, let the record show that the June 11th, 2020 minutes have been approved by 4-0 vote and will be recorded as official minutes of that meeting. Next will be the mayor's report, and I want to start out by thanking all of our elected officials, the parents, the grandparents who attended the 2020 Farragut High School graduation. I also want to thank our principal, Dr. Bartlett, along with Athletic Director Donald Dodgen and his staff for all the hard work that went into making a huge project a great success. And again, I urge everyone to stay with the physical distancing and a face mask when you're around each other. Next will be some information from Julie Blaylock, our Farragut West Knox Chamber Director. And Julie, you're on the floor.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Just fine.
Excellent. All right, well, you've got some reports that David Smoke submitted to you before the meeting. Pursuant to the memorandum of understanding that the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce holds with the town of Farragut under a 5-year contract, we like to come before the board at least once a year and kind of give you a state of the chamber and tell you what we've accomplished, our engagements, and just give you an idea of where we are. That's especially important this year as it has been exceptionally interesting the latter half of this fiscal year 2019-2020. For those, for the mayor and aldermen who are used to previous reports, we used to give you this list of every single thing we've done in minute detail in about an 8-point font. I thought you might appreciate something a little more visually appealing. But if there's information that's missing on here and you have questions, please let me know. And if I don't have the data at hand, I will get it for you. But just kind of as a comparison, the first page, our fiscal year 2019-20 in review, kind of speaks for itself. You know, we continue to be very busy. In terms of our weekly business events, our ribbon cuttings and grand openings, we're averaging one a week. Our networkings were booked out over a year in advance, and they continue to be. We're, of course, trying to get back to a normal schedule. New business members, the report you have says that we took on 90 new members, of which 23% were new businesses who joined in Farragut. That has been amended, so we now have a total of 94 for the fiscal year so far. As it compares to last year, it's really not that far off. Last year, we had 107 total. So we're pretty close in terms of fiscal year over year, in terms of how many businesses we welcomed to the chamber as members overall. Current membership on your report says 627, with 35% being in the town of Farragut. And if you're curious how the breakout is for the remainder of our businesses, about 57% are outside of Farragut. They're in either Knox County or Knoxville, one of the two. 3.2% are Loudoun County, 1.6% are in Anderson and Blount County, and then we have less than 1% in Sevier or other counties as members. We have a full board of directors. We welcomed 5 new directors to our board. David, of course, is our long-suffering ex officio member. He can't shed us if he wanted to, and we're happy to have him. You know, our business breakdown, you know, we talk a lot about how we specialize in serving small businesses, and most of you guys know that already. We redid our due structure this year, and so it gave us a different picture of what our businesses look like by size, meaning how many staff they have. And when we say we serve small business, we mean it. So you can see on the bottom of that page, 81% of our membership, and that is the large majority, have 15 staff or less. 76% within that 81% have 10 staff or less, and then a quarter, 25%, have actually less than 2 employees. So that's going to be a sole owner proprietor who has about 1 or 2 part-time employees, and that's it. So really serving a lot of businesses. Our staff size right now with COVID, we are at 2.5 staff only. One of our full-time employees, Susan Roberts, who is our front office and events manager, she found a great opportunity during the pandemic working for the Department of Health of all places. It was a good opportunity for her, and we wished her well. Due to the uncertainty, we are going to stick with 2 full-time staff in the office for now, and continue to retain a part-time social media coordinator. But Suzanne Krieger, who used to hold that front office position, is very well equipped to do 2 jobs at once. So if you talk to Suzanne when you call the office, please tell her thank you, because she is picking up a lot and doing a fabulous job with it. Your second page, I thought it would be interesting for you all to see how our jobs break out. You know, because part of what we should be doing as a Chamber of Commerce is economic support and development. So we've got 14,393 jobs that we are supporting across our membership. 3,600 of those jobs are in Farragut. And I gave you a breakdown of the industries that we support by the number of jobs that are self-reported by the businesses. And so you can see the left-hand side column is total membership, and the right-hand side column is Farragut. You can see, interestingly enough, for Farragut, we shouldn't be surprised, retail encompasses the majority of our membership that is Farragut. So that is really the bulk of who we need to be serving. And during COVID, that proved to be the bulk of our membership that needed the most help. Part of our memorandum of understanding is providing the town with sponsorship and promotional value. And in this fiscal year, even despite the pandemic, we have provided the town with the equivalent of $10,500. in sponsorship and promotional value and marketing. Our membership retention trends are going in the right direction. I would love to say that in 2020 they will continue to go up, but we just don't know yet. But you can see the goal that we set is from the ACCE, which is the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. That's the national program that sets the benchmark. They want chambers to have an 80% retention rate or better of members. So you can see that in 2017, we were at 79. In 18, we went up to 81.75. And last year, we were at over 83%. So we are making steps in the right direction. And then you have lists of programs and projects where we supported the town of Farragut as your Chamber of Commerce. Of course, we love participating in all the town's events. I'm sure you've heard of the crazy idea that we have for the 4th of July. And then some new programs. We started a West Under 40 Young Professionals program. That has been very well received. And that actually accelerated way faster than we thought it would. We thought it would take us a year or two to put it together. It came together in 9 months. And there was a lot of good response from young professionals who really wanted something for them in the west side of Knoxville and in Farragut. We participated in All for Knox Mayor Summit. We sponsored the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce's Navigating the Opioid Crisis Employer Toolkit. So we represented Farragut there. That was in Blount County. We did start participating with TCAT and offering Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce workforce development scholarships. And the town got to be part of presenting those inaugural scholarships. And what that is, for those of you that weren't there, is scholarships that pay for the supplies and tools for students that are going into industries like auto mechanics, HVAC, and those could be very costly. And so we offered to cover that, and it was very well received. We were going to participate in Project Grad this year and take on an intern. And we were also going to sponsor another business, hopefully a Farragut business, taking on a Project Grad intern. But unfortunately, due to COVID, both of those programs were canceled. So hopefully in 2021, we'll come back around to that. And then I thought it would be important to give you a list of some of the things we did during COVID. We did close our office, much like the town of Farragut did in late March. I moved myself and my staff home. We canceled, of course, all of our in-person events out of caution and safety, but the work did not stop. I will say proudly that while I wish the pandemic never happened, it was a really good learning experience for us. It taught us the value of our partners. It taught us the value of skills that we didn't know we had or we weren't using to our maximum opportunity. And it really taught us to not take for granted those things that are a part of our job every day. I can say that never in my years at the chamber did I think I would cry with so many of our business owners and have them ask if everything was going to turn out okay and if they were still going to have a business in 2 months. Thankfully, the majority of them do, and they came out wonderfully. But to that end, we did a couple different things. We did a lot of one-on-one phone calls and support for the EIDL and PPP loan programs when that information came out. So that was our first priority, was to get that info from the SBA and disseminate it. We, shared it with Steve and anybody else that we could think of to get it out to the businesses that needed it. During COVID, it really didn't matter if you were a member or not. If you were a small business in this area, you needed our help, we would help you. And that's what we tried to do. We did virtual networking to try to promote our restaurants. We did educational webinars and programs. Of course, all of this were free to any business. It didn't matter. We did the list, which was trying to keep up with our restaurants and their hours and pickups and DoorDash and all that other crazy stuff. And then, of course, free advertising. So we opened up our emails and our newsletter that goes in the Farragut Press, and what we would normally charge $25 a week or $100 a month for, we did it for free. It was the right thing to do. We are slowly transitioning back to normal operating procedures, but still, as businesses need help, if they need help if they need extra time to pay their membership dues, if they need extra advertising options, we're still there one-on-one counseling and working with them to get them through to where they need to be. So I'll take questions if you have any.
Julie, when you talk to Susan Roberts, I'm sad to hear, I know that it's a good opportunity for her, but could you please just let her know I really appreciate her service. I get attached to the folks that work for you, especially when I can see that they're passionate and they care, and she certainly did. And I will miss her face when we do our ribbon cuttings and our networkings. Please give her my best when you get the opportunity.
She still lives in Farragut, and she owes me a glass at Water into Wine. So, so
Maybe you could call me. We could figure out how to do that socially distanced.
Yes.
Are you reaching out to the Tennessee Small Business Development? What is it? TSBDC? Are they providing any support? Or what's going on with that?
That's a good question. So as you know, the local SBDC office is a small office like ours. We stay in close contact with them. They are continuing to offer various classes. They're kind of going back to their normal routine of courses, and we are starting to partner with them again. Last year, we sponsored the first of 2 of their classes in Farragut, and we will pick that back up just as soon as we can do that in person. Part of what they did was a lot of one-on-one business counseling. I mean, so they were covered up with one-to-one phone calls at the local level. We are in contact with the SBA out of Nashville, which is the national contact. And so they are offering some free webinars. We actually just sent one out today, which is for people that got denied. Apologies, I have a cat. Get out. Welcome to my world. So anyone that got denied the EIDL grant or the EIDL loan, which quite a few people did, they are doing a webinar on that to counsel those people through it. They're very much here. It's just, it was very challenging, as I think most of you know, because we have small business owners on this call. The language and the terminology and the rules for the EIDL and the PPP were changing by the hour. The PPP just got a new set of rules, hopefully to the benefit for most small businesses, but it makes it so hard to understand. So yeah, they are still very much available. We have their phone number. People can still call them and get counseling on their PPP, EIDL, or anything else related to their business.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Julie. We appreciate everything you do in Farragut. So good luck for the rest of this year. Okay, I'll now yield the floor to the Vice Mayor, Pavlin, for her report.
I have nothing.
Nothing. Any other aldermen have anything to report?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Okay, if not, then we'll move on to our 3 business items, and we'll start off with approval of Resolution R 2020-06. That would be FY21 fee schedule.
All right, Mayor, I'll take this. Every year we approve a fee schedule for all the fees in the town of Farragut that we have. Most of the time the fees are the same. They don't change. But we do have a couple of recommendations from staff to make some amendments. The first one I will say that we have decided not to change at this time is we were looking at a reinspection fee. And we're not going to do that at this time. So that is on, I believe, page 3 of your fee schedule. We looked at that and then decided that it's not really the right time to do that, and the number of times this comes up is not that great. So we feel like we can wait another year and just see how development goes throughout the year before making any other adjustments to the reinspection fee. We did, however, want to make a couple of requests for variances. Right now, if you come to do a variance to the BZA, you'll pay $300 for that variance. But there's also other variances that occur all the time before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, or for the municipal code, or for subdivision regulations that we deal with quite often. It takes a lot of staff time. We're constantly going through those. And so the idea is to keep those all consistent at $300 each. So those are two additions that we would ask the board to consider, is the $300 variance request for subdivisions, and then also for any kind of municipal code variance that someone wants to do. Now the other fees that we're looking at amending are dealing with our community center fees. And I think Sue Stool, our Parks Director, is actually on here, and I'll let Sue talk through these with you if she's ready for that.
Sure, I'm here. We would like to add a new fee structure. Well, the first one is a holiday fee. That was actually part of the package that we brought to you when we first came for approval for the community center fees. It just didn't make it on the list. And so that was already in the discussion earlier this year. The second thing that we'd like to have approval of is a change in the rates for a 3-month period, or by approval of the Park and Rec director. So depending on what happens with COVID, we might extend this, or we might find down the road that there are a couple months that are lower months as far as usage for us for the Assembly Hall. And what we want to do is offer a shorter term rental, because what we're getting asked a lot for is a place to have baby showers, wedding showers, and birthday parties. And we had a great birthday party package together. We were getting lots of traction on it before we were shut down with COVID. And it was an hour in the classroom, an hour for setup, an hour in the classroom, and an hour in the gym. And it was a great thing. Well, the problem is that our classrooms aren't that big. And so now with social distancing, it's about 14 people, 15 people, depending on family groups that you have with a birthday party. So it's not really feasible for most kids, especially kids' birthday parties. So we'd like to move that to the Assembly Hall and allow that same setup, but that would give us more room. We do want to limit the number of kids, because the Assembly Hall is considerably nicer than the concrete block classrooms. And so we want to make sure that we have a good crowd control there. But the other thing was, again, having a place for people to have some wedding showers, baby showers, and little anniversary parties, whatever, and even some business meetings if they needed to be able to spread out a little bit more. And again, our classrooms were great before we had to have social distancing. Now they're not working really well for that. So what we're proposing is a 2-hour rental at $150. They could add 1 additional hour, up to 3 hours, for $50. And we have a limit on the number of tables and chairs. We would put 5 tables up and the corresponding chairs. And if they wanted more, we could do that, but it would be a little extra cost. And there'd be $100 deposit, a damage deposit. We'd like to keep it at 3 hours, because we don't want to get into the long, 4 or 5 hours, because then that really makes it so we can't do anything else that day. But we could do a 3-hour morning business meeting or get together for a book club or a group on the morning of a board meeting, and still be able to achieve that if it was just 2 or 3 hours. So that's what we're asking for. We see this as relatively short term, or we hope we do, or we hope it is, and we hope to move back to the full day rentals at a later date, which are better for everyone. They meet our goal more of tourism and being an event center. But this is sort of a recreation for a little while to fill those gaps.
And so Alderman, that is all the changes that we propose for the fee schedule at this time. So we'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Mayor Williams, I'll start out.
Can I make a motion first?
Yeah, okay.
Can I make a motion to approve resolution R 2020-06?
I'll second it.
Okay. Now we can have some discussion, and I'll start out with that. And I know we didn't have any citizen comments, so we'll move on. I think we need to keep not only our variances, but also our text amendments across the board at 300. Both of those require a tremendous amount of staff time. And I think we probably go in a hole even at that. So I'd like to see that as number one. Number two, on the nonprofit, if it's 8 hours, it's like $400, which is $50 an hour. I think that's a good number for a nonprofit. We've got a lot of young people nonprofits that are starting to pop up. You're seeing more of that. Julie was talking about the under 40 group that, and I think it would be something that we could work with to try to get them started using our place at a lower rate. And then, of course, we can talk about later on. That's what I've got.
This is Drew. I'm good with the municipal code variance, or both of those variances at being $300. I am thankful you brought up the 2-hour rental, because I do think that's a big need for us. Like Mayor Williams talked about, we do have a lot of nonprofits around that I do believe would take advantage of that 2-hour rental. They're low on cash, everything they have is very tight. And so, I would like to look, the 8-hour rental comes out to $50 an hour. And so I guess my thing is on this 2-hour rental, let's mirror what we have for the 8-hour rental for the nonprofit at 400. So look at the 2-hour rental nonprofit at $50 an hour. So $100 per 2-hour rental. I think it makes it more accessible for these nonprofits where money is very, very tight. I want these to be in our community. I want it to support Farragut groups as much as possible. Farragut nonprofits, even nonprofit school-based opportunities. And so, I appreciate this being brought up, but I would love to see that 2-hour rental number come down to $50 an hour for the nonprofits.
Mayor Poblin?
I'm fine with what you're suggesting, and that's I'm looking at the Assembly Hall in the paperwork that she gave us, and it doesn't delineate between nonprofit and for-profit. It just says 2-hour. Is that what we're talking about?
I read it as under the nonprofit. Maybe I shouldn't have.
And that's fine by me. I'm just getting clarity I'm fine with that. We certainly don't need to be breaking the bank with people that are trying to, this is a tough time for everybody. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Quick question, David, when obviously we're gonna have to make a motion to amend with those, how is that handled? Do we need to do an amended motion to add those? amendments or what?
Let's hear from Alderman Pinchuk first.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Sue. Is that 150 under the nonprofit regular hours?
We were trying to keep this really simple because we see this as a relatively short term. Because again, it doesn't meet our long-term goals to fill up the room with short-term with 2-hour rentals. Right now, there's a need, but that will change, and eventually we'll be able to go back to the classrooms, and that'll be able to hold and handle a lot of those smaller meetings. So we had just sort of hit right between the two. If you want us to do a nonprofit rate of $50 an hour with a $50 additional, or $100 base and a $50 additional hour, we can do that, and then do the 150 and 50 for a for-profit or for social, parties and things, and birthday parties and things like that. That's fine. We were just trying to make this pretty simple. I will say this takes a lot of staff time. So it takes the same amount of staff time to set up for a 2-hour rental as it does for a 8-hour rental. So, and it's going to take the same amount of disinfecting. So it's just something to remember, when we do this, that this is not free and easy. It is actually quite complicated now to get it set up and get it disinfected, and then get it and then use it and disinfect and take down. So, but I'm fine with that. If you want to separate it out, we can surely do that. That's not a problem.
I would like to see it separated out. That was my next question, is what is our cost involved? So how about materials? You're talking about labor, but the new machine we have and the materials to disinfect and so forth, what's that going to cost? You say it's the same for a 2-hour or an 8-hour event. So what are we spending?
Well, I don't actually know yet because we haven't done it enough to have a really good feel, but to set up and take down for a smaller party like this, is about an hour, and to disinfect. And the disinfectant is not cheap, and it takes about 15 minutes to spray everything in there. So how much that, we haven't gone through enough yet to determine how long those gallons last and what that actual cost is. So I can't really give you that yet. But that's why I'm saying it takes an hour to set up for an 8-hour event too. Maybe an hour and a half if it's bigger. There is, under the Tennessee Pledge, which we're moving to on Wednesday, there is a limit of 50% of your occupancy. So basically 75 people in that room with tables.
Well, I'm for splitting it, as I said earlier, and into nonprofit and nonprofit after hours or social, or however you want to break that out. But then I think you need to keep track of our costs. And if you find that we're spending more than $100 to set this up, I think you need to come back to us for an adjustment if we agree to reduce this to $100.
I can do that.
I agree with that, Mayor Williams. The disinfecting, I think, is something that we're going to be doing for some time to come. When you said 75, I don't know how we could even think about social distancing with 75 people in that room. That would be kind of tough to do. But hopefully, this temporary, which is short-term rentals, it will be temporary, and they can move back into the classrooms, and we can kind of go from there. But that, I think, for a short period of time, if we can get some of these nonprofits started using us instead of other places, I think it might be a good way to reach out.
Mayor,
all.
I agree with you on the 75. We think that that will really only work if you have some big family groups, like for a wedding shower or a baby shower, where you might have 5 or 6 from the same family that could be together at a table. But otherwise, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I think a lot of what's going to be on that Tennessee Pledge is recommendations, and on some of the stuff, we're going to have to be a little bit different, probably. I'd like for everybody to escape this without being sick in our town, and if we make sure that we keep it to where it's a little bit of common sense, then I think we can maybe help that happen.
Sue, this is Alderman Pinchuk again. Can you give us your breakdown under the 4 different columns there? If we change the nonprofit regular hours to $100, what would you do with the other 3 columns?
The for the special rates, so it would just be for a nonprofit would be a 2-hour rental would be $100, and an additional hour would be $50, and same thing with the additional tables and chairs and the damage deposit. They're all the same. So we would just go down $50 for that basic rental. Is that, if that's what I'm hearing you say?
No, I'm talking about at the top, the 4 columns, the nonprofit regular hours, nonprofit after hours, for-profit social. I mean, would you offer different prices or charge different prices for those 3 columns?
We were not going to try to get into regular hours and after hours. We were just staying with basic, whenever they wanted to rent, a basic fee, so that we didn't get into the after and before hours. We're trying to keep this fairly uncomplicated, since when you're talking to people about this and there are all these different divisions, it's great when it's a full day event. It gets very cumbersome staff-wise to work through something like that with just a 2-hour event.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you for that explanation.
Any more discussion? Okay, then we'll need someone to craft an amendment, please.
That's where I was looking for David's advice.
Nominate David.
So I will be glad to nominate myself to give you a item to change here. So it would be approval of resolution 2020-06 with the following amendments. One is we would change the Assembly Hall nonprofit rate to 2-hour rental to $100 for 2 hours. And then we would have a for-profit social rate for 2 hours of $150. And that's all I think you have to change.
No,
And
the zoning
structure.
ordinance. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mayor Williams, you're the one that suggested it.
Yeah, the fee structure on the, I do think needs to be the same on variances and text amendments.
And that's already part of your resolution.
Well, he wanted a zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations text amendment
And
fee
text.
to bumped up to 300 from 250. Is that correct, Mayor Williams?
Yes, that is correct.
And the current fee, it's set at 250. We'd like that to be 300.
All right, is there, I guess the rest of the board would need to be comfortable with that, but yes, that would be another amendment then, would be $300 for the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations text amendment fees.
This is Alderman Burnett. I'm good with that.
I'm good with that too.
This is Alderman Pinchuk. I'm fine with it.
So
So
I'm going to
whoever
make
made the motion would need to amend their motion to include that as well as the previous resolution that I mentioned as well.
okay, I'm going to amend my motion to say what David said that we added and changed. Okay? Anyone want to second that?
Okay, we'll need a roll call, please.
All right, Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Povlin,
Alderman Povlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Okay. Okay, let the record show that the amended resolution 20-06 has been approved as discussed. Okay, next will be approval of the FY21 committee appointments. David, you're up.
Mayor, yes, sir. We had a workshop before the meeting tonight to discuss the committee appointments for this year. And I believe that our town recorder, Allison Myers, has got a list of all of those committees as well as the nominations that the board had discussed. So we'll let her read off those nominations for each of the committees, and then the board can make a motion to approve and have any further discussion you'd like at that point.
All right, the first one's the Art and Beautification. We have Marty Rogers, T.C. Williams, Diane Duncan, Beverly Hammond, and the board member is Alderman Povlin. For the Plumbing, Gas, Mechanical, we have Wes Tankersley and Nicholas Moskell. For the Board of Zoning Appeals is Jim Holliday. Museum Committees, Joyce Moran, Gordon Michaels, Linda Wimbrow, and William Rhodes. And the board appointee is Mayor Williams. Stormwater Advisory Committees, Valerie McFall is the water quality, Ken Hawkins is landscape, and Edward McKimsey is at-large member, and the board member is Alderman Povlin. And the VRB is Brittany Moore and Derek Wright, and the board member is Alderman Pinchuk.
Make a motion to move for approval.
Second,
Okay, we will need a roll call vote then.
Alderman Povlin,
Alderman Povlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that the motion has been approved for the committee members, and we will be, the next board meeting will be looking at three other committees as far as appointees and as far as mending the charter. Next, on the same subject matter is one of my duties is to appoint the planning commissioners, and which I'll be doing now. We have actually 3 that are up for to be reappointed, and that would be Rita Holiday, Ed St. Clair, and Scott Russ. And then a new member to our committee will be Michael Bellamy, and all these will be for 2-year terms. So that needs to be read into the record. Okay, next will be approval of the
Mayor
visual
Williams,
resources.
I
Go ahead.
apologize. Can you repeat those names? I'm sorry.
Rita Holiday,
Uh-huh.
Ed St. Clair,
Okay.
Scott Russ, and then Michael Bellamy will be the new member. And
Thank
he will be taking retired position from Roseanne Kyle.
Is that it? So that's,
Yes.
I'm gonna move for approval.
We don't need to vote. That's the mayor's appointment.
I know. Oh, did we vote I'm sorry, we did a vote. I apologize. I
No
don't
problem.
remember what we did 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of the Visual Resources Review Board Charter Amendment.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Last year, the board added a voting member of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to the VRB. And when you did, that actually created an even number of voting seats on the VRB. This year, we had 3 members that were going to roll off, and only 2 applied to be on the committee. So our ask for the board is to amend the charter of the VRB to actually go back to 6 at-large members with 1 voting member of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to give us an odd number of officials on that committee again.
Got a move for approval of the amendment to the Visual Resources Review Board.
I'll second it.
Okay, let's see, any discussion? And we'll start with Alderman, Pinchot.
I have none.
None? Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, pass.
Vice Mayor Hovland?
Pass.
Okay, I have none as well. And we have a motion with a second on the floor, and I'll ask for a roll call vote, please, from the county reporter.
Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Pinchot,
Alderman Pinchot, yes.
Alderman Pavlin,
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Okay, let the record show that the BRRB Charter Amendment has been approved as discussed. Okay, ordinances, we have one ordinance to review tonight for public hearing, and it is on the second reading. Public hearing on this second reading, ordinance 20-06, ordinance to amend Appendix A, zoning, Chapter 2, definitions to define arts and fitness studio, Chapter 3, specific district regulations, Section 17, Office District 01, to modify permitted use. Matthew McClanahan, applicant.
Mayor, this is second reading of this ordinance. There are no changes from first reading. The office zone as in your packet would change and allow for barbershops, beauticians, hair salons to be in the office zone, as well as art and fitness studios that did not exceed 1,500 gross square footage in those centers. It also would take out mortuary establishments from the office zone. So those are all the changes that this ordinance would provide in the office zone. And again, no changes to first reading. So staff would recommend approval.
I'm going to move to approve ordinance 2006 on second reading.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have any discussion?
I
Let's
have
start
none.
with Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, pass.
Okay, Alderman Pinchot,
Alderman Pinchot, I pass.
Vice Mayor Pavlin.
I pass.
Okay, Mayor passes as well. With a motion and a second on the floor, I'll ask town recorder for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pinchot,
Yes.
Alderman Pavlin,
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show ordinance 20-06 has been approved on the second reading. Okay, next will be our town administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things tonight. One is, and I know we've been working under Governor Lee's executive order for the last couple of months now with our public meetings. Governor Lee has indicated that he is not going to be extending that executive order past June 30th. So our public meetings in the future are going to be back where we can have them in the public view, which is great. But we're probably going to be changing venues for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and for the Planning Commission, as we tend to get more people on those committees, as well as spectators and citizens that would like to participate in those meetings. So we'll be moving those to the community center. We're gonna also, they're not gonna look the same as I think they have in the past. Trying to make sure we're cautious with our social distancing and our health regulations. So we'll be getting all the information out before our next board meeting, so that the public understands what they need to do to participate and basically how many people we're going to be able to have in the room at the time. So, but we do look forward to getting back to our public meetings. July 4th, I know, has also been a big topic of discussion here lately. Obviously, we're not having our parade this year, but we are having a festive 4th in people's homes. We're trying to get our neighborhoods to participate and really spruce up their yards and their neighborhoods, their HOA grounds, wherever it may be, businesses that are in town. And let us know by next Wednesday, I believe. And we're going to try to post that on our website so that people can go drive that on July 4th from 9:30 to 11 in the morning and really show their patriotism. So we hope we get as many people as possible to participate in that. The other thing that we mentioned a little while ago, but on July 1st, we will be under new health regulations regarding the reopening of the state and of our county under Governor Lee's orders and under the Tennessee pledge. So they'll be slightly different than what we have right now with Knox County's health department rules and regulations. And they get amended, from day to day sometimes. They don't wait for certain dates and times to do some of their changes. So we will be monitoring that closely to make sure that we're following everything we can. Right now our playgrounds are still closed, our splash pad is still closed, and that would be the same under the Tennessee pledge currently. But again, that can all change at any moment. We just have to wait for those guidelines to be released. So with that, I'm happy to try to answer any questions the board may have.
Dave, do we have any indication of when we will be able to open up the splash pad?
Well, under the Tennessee pledge, splash pads are not allowed to be open. So even though Knox County has allowed them to be open, come July 1st, the Tennessee pledge and guidelines say you can't have them open.
Okay.
Really, for us, because our splash pad is right next to the playground, it was going to be difficult for us to even think about opening that with that playground right next door. So,
Yeah.
we're hoping that the playgrounds get open soon, and when they do, hopefully that means splash pads would as well. But until then, we're gonna need to keep both of those closed.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Burnett?
No additional comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Pinchot.
I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Okay, sounds like that's, thank you, David. We appreciate the report. Tonight, we did not have Lawyer Hale, so we will not have one of his reports. So next will be Citizens Forum, and pursuant to the governor's executive order, we ask that all citizens' comments be emailed to comments@townoffarragut.org, which must, along with their name and address, be received by 12 noon the day of the meeting to be included in the public record of that night's meeting. And they must abide by the public forum protocol to be read into record. If they are not, then they will not be read into record. So, and when we go back live, if we have residents that are uneasy about coming to the meetings still, then they can always continue to send in an email with a public comment on anything that we're doing, whether it be an agenda item or in citizens forum. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. And at this point, I'll now ask the town recorder to please read in all eligible comments and questions.
Yes, sir. Tonight we have one comment. It's from Ruth Ann Roberts. She's at 517 East Foxton Drive. She says, ladies and gentlemen, having lived at 517 East Foxton Drive for 30 plus years, I'm opposed to any environmental updates to my community that will negatively affect the property value of my home. Until which time the public health, welfare, and safety can be assured, I request that the mayor and aldermen submit the 5G resolution to Governor Lee for his signature.
Okay, now just so everybody knows it's listening in, that has been sent in, and it was not just Governor Lee. We sent it to quite a few people, both federal and state legislatures. So that has been sent. I guess the word has not got out to everyone, but anyway, I guess that will probably conclude our meeting tonight. And the time is approximately 7:53.
Mayor Williams,
Oh,
can I
excuse-
just, can we, I'm gonna pull up the email so I can say the specific names so that they're on the record, if that's okay.
That'd be fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see, where did you have it last? Here it is. Waiting for the email to pull up. Sorry. There it goes. Okay, it went to Governor Lee, Speaker Cameron Sexton, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, Representative Jason Zachary, Representative Justin Lafferty, Senator Richard Briggs, Senator Becky Massey, Congressman Tim Burchett, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Senator Lamar Alexander, and FCC Chairman, I hope I say this right, Ajit Pai. So that's been sent out to all those individuals. Thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that.
Okay, again, I hope everyone that's listening they're aware of that. I mean, we did this, pass the resolution, and then I personally signed one that was addressed to each individual, and we sent those out to them. So again, the time is approximately this time 7:55, and without objection, the June 25th, 2020 Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meeting is now adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
you.
Be safe.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.